Thanks for sitting down with us this afternoon, Wayne. Really nice to see you again. Would you mind just starting off by telling us your role at Sentinel Financial Group and a bit about your background?
Cool. Thanks, Alex. My role at Sentinel is to research some of the ETFs we invest into and construct portfolios for clients. Background started just before the dot-com bubble in 2000 in the US, and then worked in South Africa, and more recently the last 7 years here in Perth. And enjoy the investment markets. Always something new every day.
Yep.
And that's the best part of it.
All right, so first question this afternoon, Wayne. So obviously we've had COVID-19, which has severely affected the markets from sort of February this year. Are you able to sort of give us a bit of background about sort of why that's happened, what's sort of going on, or what sort of went on back then, what's sort of going on now, and I guess a bit of an idea in terms of what you're sort of thinking the outlook or the future for markets may look like?
Yeah, 2020 is a very unique year. I think earlier in the year we saw enough articles using the word unprecedented, and that's kind of what 2020 has been. Even last year in December, if we had to think about what could derail the share market this year, a global pandemic would probably not come to mind. And to paint the picture of where we were before the coronavirus outbreak, last year economic growth was already mediocre. Share markets were up 20%. So leading into this year, perhaps share markets were expensive, which created risk in itself. And then when the virus hit and economies got shut down, investors became fearful. So even after a big sell-off, many investors still felt share markets are reasonably priced because they were expensive. Where to from here? That's a tricky question. So the best way I look at it is the economy is a living organism. So the longer something is in bad shape, the harder it is for it to bounce back quickly. Okay. And so that's where we find ourselves now. Economies are opening up, people are getting re-employed, people are getting back to work. The question is, to what point do we recover? And at the moment, we're leaning on the crutches of government stimulus, which is highly supportive. These wind back in September. And I think that's where the market is really thinking now. What happens when there is no longer support the way we have today? What are we doing? I think we control what we can control. What the economy does, we can do very little about. But our strategy is what we lean into. The strategy is proven to work through bear markets, through bull markets, and we have no doubt that it would work again.
Can you maybe tell us a little bit more about that strategy and sort of, I guess, some of the fundamentals that you, I guess, trade by or sort of live by when you are investing in these sort of markets?
So we always think about, firstly, liquidity. So when we own something, we don't want to get stuck into something that perhaps is going pear-shaped. So firstly, our portfolio would be able to liquidate in one day. So,
and when you say liquidity, can you describe sort of like what that is or how that sort of works?
So
like what example, of something that is, I guess, not liquid and something that is very liquid when you're talking about these sorts of things?
So if we learn from previous crises like the global financial crisis, there were a lot of property investors that couldn't get their money back out of property investments. And we never want to get caught into something like that. If we want to sell, we want to have a buyer on the other end, and our portfolio will firstly focus on that. The second thing is we don't want to be concentrated into just one type of asset. So whether that's just shares or just cash, we diversify across multiple asset types. And what you find is in good environments, some do better, whilst others not so well. But in bad times, the ones do better and the other ones not so well. So it's just a good balance of quality investments that work in all kinds of markets.
Yeah, okay.